Now, we've been doing a significant amount of testing on the EUFY E1 UV printer. And in today's video, I wanted to share with you some updates as well as how we were able to print and how you can print something as amazing as this. These are UV printed pens. This is a very popular pen that is used in laser engraving where folks engrave on the pens. And I wanted to see how well could it UV print. And once again, that's what we're looking at. Keep in mind that my testing, and a lot of the testing that's going on right now, is really on a beta version of the software. The actual printer is being updated. So this is indicative of the kind of quality that you're going to be able to get on the printer, but in no way represents what the final product is going to be like. As you can tell, super excited about the potential of this product and then also what it means for small businesses. So let's get right to it. Now, depending on when you see this video, the demand for the EUFY E1 has been spectacular. They've been able to raise $16 million in sales for this printer. That's how much demand there's out there. And a lot of people are excited, but there's also a lot of questions. The biggest question that we've been seeing is what's going on with the print head? What type is it? That's one of the areas that are our biggest concern. The ink is another area. And then also, how do you print larger? People want bigger things. So a couple things that are happening. What you'll learn very shortly is the actual type of print head and the print head process of replacement, as well as they'll give you even more information on different warranties and cures. There's already a lot of information on there that I'll include in the Kickstarter link that you can click on below, and you'll be able to see a lot of those details, but expect to see more in the following week. When it comes to ink, what I can share is that they're going to have a high capacity add-on to the printer, allowing you to have more ink in the system, which means that today it's limited to 100 millimeters per color and per type of, if you're looking at gloss or white, for example. And tomorrow, with the actual extension or the high capacity module that they'll be adding, you'll be able to add a lot more ink to the system. Now, keep in mind that for those of you who may not want to wait or are concerned about, what happens in the interim, the printer is really smart, right? So as it's low on ink, you're going to be able to swap out ink cartridges without it impacting the jobs that you're doing. So that is something that I've actually had the experience with, and I had to switch out my white, and I just switched it out, and it just kept on going. It did have to go through kind of like a priming and purging because the cartridge went below 10% or at 10%. And then it continued working. So you don't have to worry about, should I wait for the high capacity later? Can I use the printer now as it is? And it absolutely does. Now, the other thing is that when you're thinking about ink, this is what I'll highlight. I just wanted to highlight this pen that we did right here. The actual amount of ink that it used in cost was 0.004 cents. Let me say that one more time. 0.004 cents. That is super inexpensive. So while you think about capacity, it's not just about how much ink can it hold, but it's also how much ink does it use. And I've been using, for the most part, 0.01 milliliters on most of my prints. Now, if I don't do the 3D printing, I don't do the building up of the material like you see the printers capable of doing, because, again, the business model that I'm really focused on are things like this. I'm not really doing three-dimensional printing of a pen. I'm looking for flat surface printing. And when you think about flat surface printing, the printer is going to be outstanding. So if you think about if you're going to be doing, let's say, for example, the table, let's say, table numbers at a wedding, and you need to print those out, this thing is going to be able to print and print and print. If you're going to be doing, for example, pictures that are not raised, it's going to be able to print and print. If you're doing golf balls, the number of golf balls that you can print on this machine is incredible because there's no depth to it. Once you start adding those layers, if you go up to that 5 millimeter, that's when it uses ink. So what I found is that my other colors, again, the series of colors that I have in the printer aren't really used that much. White is used a lot when you're going to build up, and white is where you're going to see a lot of cost added. And if you're also doing multicolors and you're doing a lot of things like this where it's building up that material, that's where you'll see the actual more usage of the ink. So I am not concerned really with the ink usage at this time. However, that being said, I am taking advantage of the Kickstarter prices that exist right now because there's a phenomenal deal. We're talking about $179, if I recall correctly, is what they're charging or for the Kickstarter for the ink. And I think that's an awesome deal, especially given the amount that you can print and then also the business opportunities that you have. So two things so far we talked about. One is the fact that there is more information on the printhead coming, and then the other is the fact that the ink high capacity modules coming out, but print efficiency is really good on this so far. And I just expect it to get better. They're speeding up the printer, and they're also making things even crisper and better, as I see almost on a weekly basis. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention to you is, about large format printing, right? So you can print sticker sheets that are as big as the print bed can support, but then also there's a lot of folks interested in doing skateboards or larger formatted items. And you actually see that in the video. There's actually a picture of a large sheet coming out of the printer, and you're saying, like, how is that possible? We don't have that today. Actually, none of the influencers or the reviewers haven't been able to review something like that. That is coming out later. So you're going to have a continuous roll that's going to be out, very similar to these larger scale machines that have DTF printing, direct-to-film printing, where you'll be able to print something of that capacity. That's coming out. In addition to that, one other thing that I'll highlight is that we're learning that you're going to be able to have softer material. I've been getting a lot of questions on how does this print on silicone? And silicone, you guys know, it's kind of like very flexible. How will it print to that? Because it's super flexible, will it come off? Well, they're coming out with other ink types that are going to give you the ability to print on even more flexible material. So there's a lot that you can expect. Eufy is very committed to this product, and is also, as you look at the excitement that you see in the community, $16 million raised so far. It really means that this product is hitting a price point as well as an area that is of high demand and need. It doesn't have the complexity of some of these other machines. I'm telling you, I'm watching what's going on in the other forums, and I see, with some of the larger brands, system halt errors almost every single day. And this has to do with the fact that the machine hasn't been printing, and then when someone goes back to print, they see these errors. And I have tested this machine, and I've let it without printing for a week, and I started it up again. And I was able to see that the prints started working, no issues with it, and that's because of the self-maintenance solution that it has. But with that in mind, one of the things that I would encourage you to consider is really purchasing the cleaning cartridges. The cleaning cartridges, once it goes into that storage mode, it basically has to fill the lines with the moisturizing liquid. It evacuates the existing ink, and then once you start it up again, it refeeds the lines with the ink, which means it purges that moisturizing fluid out, and that means that that cleaning cartridge is going to get used. And I'm monitoring now how much of the cartridge is used daily as it's doing its self-maintenance, and then also what happens when it goes into those long-term storage modes. And by the way, the printer, when it goes into those modes, it lets you know, right? It says I'm moisturizing right now, and even the button goes from green, which means I'm ready to go, to kind of blue, that it's kind of like in storage mode because it hasn't been used in some time. So a lot of incredible things going on there. So let's get right to the application. I'm going to show you how I made this pen. And by the way, let's take a closer look at both of these pens. I'm going to move some stuff around here so you can see. I actually printed out two different pens that I wanted to see how things look. So let me go ahead and get these two pens on camera now. So these, again, this is a very popular pen that is used for laser engraving. And I'd say if I had to choose between using UV printing and laser engraving, if I did not need color, I'd go with the laser, right? The laser is going to be faster. There's no additional cost. It's just removing material. And we actually sell a lot of these, right? So these do extremely well. Now, if you want color, well, you don't have many choices. That's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to use UV. This is another popular pen. It's basically a stylus and a pen built in at one. And what you'll notice is the area that I printed. Now, what I'm noticing, and again, guys, as I state this, this is in the current state of the product with the current firmware, with the current software, right? Things can change. And what I've been seeing is things change for better, right? So you'll notice the area that I'm printing, and you're going to see this in the actual overhead that I do of the actual configuration or the setup on the desktop software. You'll notice that I have this is my print area. I found that this is the optimal print area where I don't have a distorted image or text. So you'll see in the video when I show you the desktop software, when the camera takes a picture of the area that it's going to engrave on, I actually can see areas that go dark and areas that are highlighted almost like brighter because of the camera. What I've noticed is that if I focus on the area where it's brightest, that's where I get the best quality. As soon as my print extends beyond that bright area, it starts getting on the curvature. That's when I see a degrade of the image, and I actually see, because it's spraying the ink down, you get distortion. So if I were to say, what is the optimal print size at this time based on my testing, this is it. So this is what you can expect from a print size. Let me go ahead and put this on camera again, right in front of the camera so you can see that. I think that that is a decent size. That is a really decent size. And I like that the YouTube, again, that my domain right there that I have listed there, that YouTube Tech Reviews is actually small. I could probably even get smaller, but I like that for phone numbers. I like that for address. I like that for a lot of different things. I'm going to test QR codes as well to see how well they do, but so far I've been really, really impressed with the overall quality. So let's take a look at the setup and everything I did in order to make this pen. So guys, that wraps up our update on the Eufy E1. Fantastic printer. I'm really excited about it. We're excited about it as a couple, and I invite you to come to our EUFYMAKE E1 group, where we're having everybody who's excited about the printer come and join and actually share what they think they're going to be doing. And I'm sharing a lot of the tests I'm doing in there as well. Also, we've been making a lot of jigs. So I have pen jigs, I have golf ball jigs, I have wallet jigs, and we're getting requests for what type of jigs folks would like in order to optimize the use of the printer. So make sure you join the community. I'll include a link in the comment area as well so that you can learn, share, and grow. Now let me show you how to print on some pens, because printing on the UV printer is kind of like a big deal. You see a lot of this taking place. So first, I have two jigs that I've created for the EUFYMAKE E1, and this is for the short tray. So if you don't want to have the full tray in and you want to do a short run, you can do this. So here what you have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 8 that you can fit. I was trying to get 12 because typically when people buy things, it's like a dozen, but I wasn't able to fit it on the tray. So 8 is the max I can fit, while still giving you the kind of support so that you can work with some good alignment. This is going to be able to support both pens and pencils. So what you'll see here, and we'll go ahead and zoom in, is kind of like the size, the optimal size that I've been able to find right now with the printer in its current form. Keep in mind, this is still a preview, right? There's a lot of final stuff still happening. Now, I'm going to give you a tip. So when the camera actually took a picture, you'll notice how there is a dark shading here and a dark shading here. This is kind of where I find the curvature of the pen starts to impact the quality of the ink. So you'll notice that my logo, or the YouTube symbol, and then the text that I have here is falling in this lighter area. This is what I would consider like the sweet spot of printing. And basically that's all I did. So this is actually, and let me turn off the finger, the holding. Here I have one body of text. Here I have another body of text. And then here I have the graphical element. And I have these set to white because I think that shows up better in black. And let me show you what I did from a printing perspective. Now I'm not doing anything raised. I'm just going to go with the flat. So I'm going to hit print. And when I go here, in order to get this to show up really well, because it is black, I'm going to go ahead and choose this one right here. CMYK, white CMYK. I find that this makes the color stand out the most. The red will be more red, and the whites will be white because of the pen that we have. Now, there is going to be an update to the software that's going to allow you to add more layers of white. So I would probably do more layers of white for the base before I did the color, and that would satisfy. But in order to get it as in its current form, I have to do it this way. So I'm going to go ahead and also I'm going to keep it with standard printing. So I'm going to hit start. It's going to send it to the device. Right? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit print. Now, you'll notice here that it's using 0.01 millimeters of ink. So how much ink did this pen take up? Well, based on my math, it's 0.004. Let me say that again. It's not even 4 cents. 0.004
sense. And that's because of how much ink is being used. You notice what's being used here? It's really, really small. So let's go ahead and print it and see what it looks like.
See you in the next one.